Welcome to Keepin' It Real, your go-to radio show for fresh insights and vibrant introductions. Get ready to dive into a world where we offer you the latest in real estate wisdom and the juiciest community tidbits. From expert advice courtesy of top realtors to opportunities to give back through local charities, we've got you covered. Plus, we'll shine a spotlight on the young athletes driving our local sports scene and uncover the buzzworthy happenings both in town and beyond. Stay tuned for a jam-packed hour of enlightenment and entertainment right here on Keepin' It Real.
What's in a name? Everything. Long Realty has been a cornerstone of Southern Arizona's real estate market for nearly 100 years. Our name is our bond, and our agents are our strength. Trust in the name that stands for experience and expertise. Visit longrealty.com or call 520-459-4993 to connect with an agent today. Long Realty. Smart move.
All right, welcome to Keepin' It Real, and this is Keepin' It Real, brought to you by Sherry Ethell and the team right here at Long Realty behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard. Just want to throw out one thing. I want to give a shout out to Doc's Watering Hole. They've got the upcoming Stand Up for Freedom. All the proceeds go to the Warrior Healing Center, so it's a great cause, great opportunity to come down. We'll be down there. We'll have a booth. We'll also have a booth with the Friends of the Sierra Vista Animal Shelter, so I encourage you, come on down, stop by, enjoy some refreshments. It's coming up the 27th of June, so just another week here. Next weekend, come on down, see the Stand Up for Freedom, 4 to 9 p.m. There'll be stuff at Punchy's and Doc's that day. Just want to throw that out there. Let's get rolling with our show. Today, I'm joined, with my co-host here, Lisa Gustafson from CoolFM. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Love having you here. And then I've got Frank Harris and Amanda Harris, and you guys are a husband and wife team, right?
Yes, we are.
And you're from Allo.
Yeah, Allo Fiber.
Okay, so Allo Fiber, and you're both business account executives.
Yes.
Love to have both of you guys. We've never had Allo on the show, so I think that's great to have you guys. You're obviously doing big things here in our community, and I think it's always important to be able to get kind of firsthand as to what's going on there. Again, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
No, we appreciate it. Before we dive into kind of the business aspect of it on our spotlight for you guys, I want to talk a little bit about you, the people behind the business. Tell me a little bit about yourselves individually. We'll start with you, Frank.
Well, I mean, not a lot to tell, but I've owned a business for 30 years that and kind of made a segue into working for Allo, but originally from the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, really? What part?
Portland, Oregon.
Oh, I'm from Oregon.
I was just going to say, here we
I'm
go.
from Hillsboro.
Here we go.
I know it well.
Originally.
Hey, Highway 26. Anybody out there listening? But no, I moved to Arizona about 2004, lived in the Phoenix area for quite a while. Had a lot of friends down here in Sierra Vista that I would come visit, and I could literally feel the stress and the hustle and bustle of the big city just kind of fall off my shoulders as I rolled in to Sierra Vista. And
you had been here before. Did you have some friends?
Yeah, and so I that's kind of, I just came and visited, and I said to myself, if there ever came a time that I could come live here, I would really like this pace of life, and the people here are just amazing. So when that opportunity afforded itself in 2019, 2020, I jumped at it and moved down here.
The weather's not too bad either.
Right. Big difference.
Big difference. A lot better than Phoenix. The summers are much more bearable. And then most importantly, I moved down here and I met my beautiful wife.
Yeah. I lived up in Buckeye for a while, and a number of years there. And man, it's hot even at night. I mean, during the summertime, it's brutal. It's still 90-some degrees at night.
The heat, actually, in a lot of cases, it gets warmer at night because the heat radiates off the rock. It's just crazy in the pavement.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It's miserable. Yeah. And we were in a great place. We actually were, when Buckeye first kind of started its growth, there was still a lot of those dairies and whatnot around there. So you got the heat and the stinky cow.
And the smell of the
so
manure.
Really cool. Really, really cool. No, not really. But so tell us, Amanda, about yourself.
Sure. So I actually lived out here in the 1980s. My dad was a captain in the military. He was up on post.
Okay.
He was a company commander up there with ISAC, which is one of the major commands. So I remember being here in the mid-'80s. I remember when Sears was where Goodwill is right now.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when the Target was not there and the pavement ended at the, right at the end of Fry Boulevard and Highway 90. So
You got some history.
I do have a little bit of history. Yeah. I have some really good.
So did you go to school here for a period of time?
I did. I went to school up on Post. So shout out to Colonel Johnston Elementary and Colonel Meyer Elementary. So great schools. Some really, really good memories of. We had enough snow one year that we built a snow mouse. We didn't have enough for a snowman, but we built like a 2-foot tall snow mouse.
I think I remember that one year.
Yeah. So that was, like I said, that was back in the 80s. And then Army took us all over the place, and college took me back to New Jersey. And so I consider myself to be half Army brat, half Jersey girl.
Yeah.
And then moved back here in 2006 and just have never left.
Yeah.
And honestly, coming down Highway 90 from Benson, anytime I see the outline of the Huachuca Mountains, it's like I can just take this deep breath and kind of relax and go, I'm home,
Yeah. I think a lot of it, even though, I'm from the Northwest too, this feels like home, even though I spent a lot of years up there in Oregon before I joined federal law enforcement and went kind of around the country too. Yeah. It was just really, I don't know, just something peaceful about this area. Well, I love it.
It's funny because I say that all the time to everybody, and I love that analogy. I always say, take everything that you know about business, about life, about the hustle, about the bustle. The minute you turn on Highway 90, it's different.
Yeah.
It is different.
It is. Everything is different, and for the better.
You hit that one crest in the road on 90 and suddenly you see the outline of the mountains. And like I said, I can just kind of breathe. This is the only place I've lived as an adult that I did as a child. And so to be able to have those memories, it's like I said, it's an incredible place to be.
Yeah.
Well, having been back here for a little bit now, big changes, obviously, from when you were here in the 1980s and stuff. What do you think of all that?
I think it's been just absolutely incredible to see the growth of Sierra Vista, to be able to see the families that move in, that it's a great place to retire, but also to see the number of families that are here, to see the amount of infrastructure that's here, to see how much the city is really wanting to invest in the community, and really be promoting the city. I know that there's a lot of people that dog on Sierra Vista, but I'm also like, but you're not moving.
Right.
You might complain about it, but I don't see you moving anytime soon. And that's because I think the good really does outweigh the bad.
It does.
For sure.
And I think, seeing different GoFundMe things come up, or there's different tragedies that happen. I'm thinking about what has been like 15 years since the Monument Fire. Yeah. And everybody still talks about that. Everybody still talks about how much the community showed up for one another.
Right.
And I think that is something that has just grown over the decades here in Sierra Vista. It's not something that was a one-time thing, but every time something major like that happens, you see everybody come out from the community and supporting one another. And I think that that's a very rare thing to find. And as much as the city has grown, there's still that small town feeling. It's sometimes good and sometimes bad.
There's some negative connotations there, but I think overall, like Lisa, I mean, you've been here a long time too, and I love the small town vibe. I grew up in a pretty small town when Hillsborough was really small. Now it's big, but it was really small back then. You still rode your bike all the way downtown. You went to see.
That's all we did.
Yeah, we went downtown to go to the swimming pool or something like that. And as little kids, you wouldn't even think of doing that now. It's so many miles, but
right.
But
so far,
so far. But this gives you that hometown vibe, and everybody still knows everybody. I mean, you run into people all the time that in every circle, no matter what you're doing. You could be going to a restaurant. The other day we went to the restaurant and we saw some friends and we're like, man, we should have invited them. and it's just funny how that goes in a small town, and I just love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it's great that there's so many things to do here in the community. My daughter is 14 years old and she's doing the theater camp at the theater in the mall, the Sierra Vista Community Theater.
Yeah.
And she just loves it. But being able to be at 14 and hop on her bike and ride over to the mall, and to know that I feel safe that she's doing that. You know, they have the bike paths that they put in, and it's also good to learn the struggle of riding your bike someplace,
Right. No, that's 100%
Dion's
good.
looking over at me, and I'm like, it's okay. I know where they live. It's super close.
No, it's totally okay.
Right? You were like,
I know. I am
"What?"
security.
I know.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
is that okay? And I'm like, it's so close.
It's so
Hop,
close.
skip, and
It's
jump.
not even funny. But but to give her that little taste of freedom, and like
Yeah.
I said, to know that she's safe and there's people in the community. Again, I feel like that's so different than some of the other bigger towns in
True.
Arizona.
For sure.
Very true. And what do you think, Frank? So have you now been here long enough to already start looking at the traffic on Highway 92 and go,
I'm sorry,
come
traffic?
on.
What traffic?
That's what I say.
And that's the juxtaposition of being, with Allo in Sierra Vista at this time, where you have, that dreaded word of growth. Everybody, we love the small town feel. We love the community that we have. But by the same token, we're also, the city and other leaders are trying to grow so that Sierra Vista can be sustainable.
Right.
We're so uniquely tied to Post for so many things that, but more industries are starting to come into town to bring in jobs and families, as Amanda mentioned, so that Sierra Vista has more than just a military community and a retirement community moniker attached to it.
Yeah, I love the fact that it is a military town, but I think that I also like the fact that, one, I've seen the growth over the period of time, even though I wasn't living here. I was stationed here at times, detailed out here. And so I got to see, and I had a friend who lived in town, so I came out to see him quite a bit. But
Same thing.
So a lot of us. It's such a common theme that we have. But I think that the growth, I want to stay a small town, but at the same time, I want those convenience features. And I really love the idea of people having sustainable work here, that, you don't have this disparity between these really high level jobs and nothing.
Yeah.
And that's, we're so blessed to have Cochise College here in town. And that really one of the big targets that they have is to try to keep talent and people in Cochise County,
it's hard.
versus having them get their degrees, graduate, get trained, and go to Tucson, go to Phoenix, move out of state. There's a lot of great people that are here in Sierra Vista right now, but they need good paying jobs, and they need, we need schools, we need infrastructure, we need the things that the city and the county are working on to deliver to the residents, and but we also want those conveniences. So.
Which Allo plays a huge role in those conveniences.
Oh, and that's one of the
I'm
reasons we're
pretty
here.
happy about that. Like, I'm not
be.
going to lie. It's a big deal. And you came in guns blazing. Let's just say what it is, right?
I have a
you
ton
did
of
it right.
questions about that. But it is time for a break. So let's take a quick break. We'll come right back after these messages, and we'll talk more with Frank and Amanda and Lisa about Allo Fiber and some of the things that are going on in that community. All right, we'll be right back with the Sherry Ethell Team, Long Realty Studios, Keepin' It Real. We'll be right back.
Discover excellence in real estate with the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty, your premier choice in Cochise County. Sherry's amazing team brings honesty, expertise, and a deep understanding of the local market. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned homeowner, they're committed to your peace of mind and handle every detail for you. Their approach? Personalized service, above and beyond transactional real estate, building lifelong relationships, nationwide connections, local expertise. There's a reason this team is amongst the top realtors in Arizona and across the nation. You owe it to yourself to call or visit the Sherry Ethell Team, the top team at Long Realty, behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard in Sierra Vista. Call or text 717-599-2439 or Google us for more info. Real integrity, real results.
Hey, welcome back to Keepin' It Real, brought to you by the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty Studios. I'm Dion Ethell, and I'm your host. I'm joined with Lisa Gustafson from CoolFM, and she's here hanging out with me today.
Hello, hello.
And I am joined by Frank and Amanda Harris, and they are business account executives with Allo Fiber. Happy to have you guys today.
Thank you.
And we were talking before the break, we were talking about just kind of getting to know you, really, and talking about small town vibes and how we love it. And then Lisa kind of jumped in and mentioned the fact that you're part of some of that growth and change in a good way, in a positive way for our area. Tell us a little bit about Allo Fiber and how did you come here? Because all of a sudden it seemed like I'd never heard of you before, and then bam, you're huge. huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're a fiber optic telecommunications company based out of Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
And we'd had some footprint in Kingman and Yuma here in Arizona, and the leadership within the city was looking for upgrading their infrastructure, and it just kind of became a happy marriage, if you will, between us and the partners that brought us into town. Our involvement here, we're not here just for the short haul. We have a 50-plus year plan for Sierra Vista.
Wow. Okay.
We're spending a tremendous amount of money that we're investing in our infrastructure here. So while it's been, construction is always a very delicate thing to do in any town, particularly in Sierra Vista. It's been somewhat disruptive, and we get those comments all the time. But, this is really an investment in Sierra Vista, and we're getting closer and closer to completing our build here, and we're hoping that we're able to expand outside of Sierra Vista and further into Cochise County. But having that world-class fiber optic telecommunications and internet connectivity is absolutely vital as our economies start to change, and we have more work from home and telecommuting, businesses that are using AI and other things that to improve their businesses. They need that dedicated, fast, reliable internet connection.
Yeah. And I want to point out that when Allo did first come to town, obviously they'd reached out to quite a few places, CoolFM and Canyon Country being one of the people. Mm-hmm. I loved the fact that from my very first conversation, I'll never forget this, Mike and I were in New York on vacation, and I get this call from Allo. And I take the call, and they said, here's who we are. We're going to do our groundbreaking. Here's what I want you to know. We are all about local, trustworthy. If we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. From that moment on, they have done everything that they said they were going to set out to do.
Well, and that's really what we pride ourselves on is being local, honest, hassle-free, and exceptional. And, the local is really about our commitment to the community. We put back into the community. We look at ourselves as a partner. Yes, we're a business and we have those needs that have to be met, but you'll see that our team, Allo, has been involved in a ton of different events here in Sierra Vista on a weekly basis. We don't, I like to tell people, we don't just cut a check. Anybody can sign a check and make a donation to a cause, but our team members show up, we volunteer, we're handing out food at a Salvation Army food drive coming up. We were up on post for their big event a couple weekends ago. We're actively engaged with the community, because this is, we're here for the long haul. So Allo has fallen in love with Sierra Vista just like Amanda and I have, and that's what we're here for. We're here to, provide a service, but be a part of the community at large, more importantly.
And the people that work for Allo are the same people that live, work, and play here in Sierra Vista. So again, it's not like,
these are your neighbors.
You brought in all the outsiders. And it was important for that to happen.
Well, Amanda, that's a good question. So let me ask you this and kind of interrupt you a little bit. Mm-hmm. So one of the things people always see with new companies that come into town, right? They bring a bunch of outside people who are here for a day and then they're gone. But it sounds like you guys got a 50-year plan. You're more committed than that. You're part of the infrastructure here. Mm-hmm. And so is that different? Is that different than normal business?
I mean, I really think that it is. The fact that when Allo came in, like you said, they didn't bring in, you see a lot of different places that open and they bring in what people call their A team, right? And then they hire people and train up, the people who are going to stay here and work. And when Allo came in, they said, we already have our A team living and working and playing here in Sierra Vista. Yeah. We want to hire from within the community, not bring in people, have them set everything up and then move on to the next town and do that. They wanted people who were already living here and committed to being part of this community.
They certainly did that.
Yeah, and that's something that I think is amazing, to see a company do. That's not something that I've really experienced before. And so being able to work for a company that's so committed to the community, to the local folks that are here, it's a huge difference.
So how big of a footprint is this? How many people do you employ here, do you know? Or thereabouts?
Roughly in Sierra Vista right now, I think we have about 47, 50, something around that. We have, our office happens to be right next to Long Realty.
Right next to Long Realty.
We're still in the process of staffing that out fully as our footprint continues to grow and having live services in Sierra Vista. And, that's the other great point I think about Allo is, is our commitment to the community. Our tech support is here. People aren't being dispatched from Tucson or out of town to come in. These are, as Amanda said, are your neighbors, the people that you see in the grocery store. And when you call for support with Allo,
you're going to get it.
You're going to get it.
You're going to get it.
A human is going to answer the phone. Right. It's not going to be a chat bot.
It's not a bot.
I'm glad you brought that up.
It is not support outside the country. It is fully staffed, U.S. based, but we have our own team here in Sierra Vista to support our town. So
I gotta say that means a lot. I'm sure not just to me, but to everybody listening, because it seems like more and more and more today. I was just on a website trying to figure out, how do I reach this company? I can't even figure out a way to connect.
It's exhausting.
And there was, other than your, like you said, a little chat bot that you can open up a window, which first gives you this fact sheet, and that doesn't have your answer almost.
I'm sorry, I can't help you.
And then where's the real person? How do I ask my specific question? I just want to know this one little thing.
Well, and then even if you make a phone call and then it's representative.
How many times do we yell that?
How many times do you yell that? And then the chatbot on the other side is like, I didn't understand that, and you're like, you're not real. I want to talk to a real person, and I know as I continue to grow with Allo and learn some of their products, one of the things that I think is so amazing is that if you get our phone service on the phones, there's literally a button that says Allo. You push the button and it calls customer support.
Right
and
away.
you have somebody that actually, you have an actual
cool.
person that
that
picks
is
up the
very
phone.
cool.
You're not waiting in long queues. You're not sitting there for 3 to 4 hours on hold. It just doesn't,
Well, and we know the real AI generation is coming. The whole thing is coming. We're going to see more and more of those kind of virtual things. But I hope that Allo will stay true to their roots then, and at least make that as one option, right? That you keep that live piece there. It's kind of like Long Realty. We've got a new, and it's exciting. It's really cool. So you can talk to this AI. It's actually a simulated human, kind of thing. I can't remember exactly what they're calling it, but you can actually get your real estate answers on the weekend after hours in the middle of the night, and you can answer.
You're not available.
You can ask questions. Well, sometimes we are. It seems like we are, but one of my strongest complaints to my wife. But yeah, it can't replace the professional. It can't replace the person who can answer your questions.
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head when you talk about options. And that really, Allo being in Sierra Vista is great for the community because it gives us options. You don't have to use Allo for all your internet needs. There are other companies in town, but having an Allo, it makes everybody stay sharp. It actually keeps prices down for customers and residents. And it makes people have to give better service. And we become accustomed, I think, in society at large, sometimes to dwindling customer service, where everything's more automated. And sometimes that's great. But like you said, you still need to have that option of being able to speak. The personal touch, that white glove service that we used to have. Amanda and I, we have the pleasure, we get to actually meet with businesses in their business or in our office and sit down in a very relaxed atmosphere and talk about their technology needs. Not necessarily pushing an agenda, but really trying to solve problems that business owners have, whether it's, not to get too nerdy, but PCI compliance for credit cards or HIPAA compliance if they're in the medical
field.
Because Allo offers, we're really a one-stop shop in terms of services and that we offer to clients and customer businesses particularly, that really we can fill just about any need that they have and do it at the local level. And that's the part that we're real excited about, is the talent that we get to have here in Sierra Vista, keep them here and work with our other businesses. Well,
now I've seen you. So in the beginning, you saw a little bit of action, and then all of a sudden it just kind of blew up exponentially, and you're everywhere. It seemed like every street I go down, there's somebody working on an Allo truck, and so at this point, how much of Sierra Vista is covered by Allo? Do we have an idea?
It's about 57%.
Wow, that's pretty close.
It's pretty close. We would love for things to be going faster than they are.
Of course, and everybody wants you to.
Yeah, everyone's like, hurry.
And a huge shout out, to city leadership and Jolene, our manager of plant operations, and Ryan, the head of construction in Arizona. That we've actually have a a new method for construction that is allowing things to go a little faster.
Okay.
I think, we found out really early on that the rock here in Sierra Vista is very hard.
It is very hard. Well, it's so weird. Like in one part of my yard, I have a 4-acre, property, and in the front of my yard, you can dig all day. Back of the yard, not even a chance. You'll probably run into a boulder the size of a Volkswagen.
And you'll get nowhere.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've got a new method. It's called micro trenching, and you can look it up, Google it. But
there you go.
We've done it in some HOA areas and in Sierra Vista. That it's gone incredibly well, and we're looking to expand that to allow us to get to other areas in a more expedited fashion than we would with traditional drilling and boring.
Now, how long has it been since you guys actually started implementing? When did you begin laying fiber optics and everything?
Well, we started in February of 24.
Okay.
And I think, right now we're
a couple years down the road.
We're a couple years down the road. We had hoped to be done by this time, but because of certain delays.
Still, it's pretty amazing. A couple of years and you're already over half of all of Sierra Vista.
It's happening, yeah. And like I said, if we're not live yet, we're coming, and we're coming soon.
Okay, I got to ask you, for all my Hereford friends out here,
you're going to take my question away.
Before Hereford gets some attention and some love?
How long for that expansion?
Well, number one, Hereford gets a lot of attention. Okay. And I don't want to slight my friends in Benson. I don't want to slight people in Douglas as well, because the excitement that Allo's kind of generated in all the communities, rural, and that's our sweet spot. We work with communities that are, from 2,000 to about 100,000. We're not in Tucson. We focus on the smaller, underserved communities. So if you're in a smaller, underserved community, we're coming. It's just a matter of when. And there's some economics and there's politics, but so I want to give love. I want to give love to the Hereford. We see you, we hear you.
Hereford, Palominas.
We don't get a lot of love.
But do you know why?
Sometimes.
You know why? When my internet goes down, obviously I'm not with Allo because they're not in Hereford yet.
There is no internet out there. Yep.
Okay, let's just talk about the fact that I was without service for 12 days.
12 days? Oh my God, I'd die in 12 hours.
12?
I know who you're with then.
You know who I'm with then. You know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
12 days.
Yes.
So I was
We were there before.
Angry. I was very angry. And so that's why we're all chomping at the bit for this expansion, right?
So
Don't forget about us out there.
So while I would love to give you firm dates, I can't do that at this moment. But the moment that we are able to, number one, you'll hear it. Lisa and I will make an announcement on it, as well as Amanda.
You might hear it on CoolFM.
You just
Canyon
might.
Country.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's awesome. We love to hear about that. Let's take a quick break, hear from our sponsors. Folks, we'll be right back with Allo Fiber, Frank and Amanda, and of course my lovely Lisa Gustafson from CoolFM. And we're going to be talking more about the Allo business structure and what's in store for you in our wonderful community. This is Keepin' It Real. I'm Dion Ethell, and this is the Sherry Ethell Team in Long Realty Studios. We'll be right back.
We're the real wayfinders, the trailblazers, the go-getters. In a town where the desert wakes before dawn, we don't just talk, we make things happen. And when we speak, it's real, it's genuine, and it's worth hearing. Tune in every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on Cool 104.1 FM. Join the Sherry Ethell Team for Keepin' It Real, where top realtors, local heroes, and the heartbeat of our community come together. Raw, authentic conversations, expert market insights, and the best local events you can't afford to miss. Keepin' It Real, celebrating our community. Bold, genuine, one of a kind.
Welcome back to Keepin' It Real. I'm Dion Ethell, and this is Keepin' It Real, brought to you by Sherry Ethell and the team right here at Long Realty Studios. I'm joined with Lisa Gustafson from CoolFM, and we are talking to Frank and Amanda Harris. They are business account executives from Allo Fiber. And we were talking before the break about that you've now conquered in just 2 years over 57% of the area, and more to come, and that you reach out to, you really specialize in these rural resident areas. Okay, so I got a question for you. You mentioned kind of a little bit of that because the economic drive and things like that. How can you do it? I mean, because it's got to be an expensive endeavor to be able to come out. I know that's why that never came down my road. I live out in Hereford and across from Miller Canyon, and it got to the end of the road. Sorry, folks, we're never coming down your road. And I was like, what? Are you kidding? You're right there. I can see you.
I can touch you. Just come on a little further.
Exactly. So how do you guys do it?
I will give it to our accounting team, our leadership, our CEO, CFO, because not only do we do that, we don't charge for installation or setup. We don't have equipment fee rentals. What you pay for is what you get. So we're the only company in Sierra Vista that brings fiber to the premise. It's not just running on the main road and then we run a cable into your house. We bring fiber directly to each resident and business. It is expensive.
It runs right to the.
It runs directly to the house. To the house.
I did not know
It's
that.
a crazy process to actually see.
Us
I feel
Hereford
like I know we're chomping at the bit, but it is impressive.
That's impressive. Okay,
it is, and so in Hereford, where you have 4-acre, 6-acre parcels, it becomes a little more expensive,
challenging,
and challenging, and so that's part of the delays it takes. Sometimes it's there's BEAD money that came to rural areas that were underserved, and it takes some municipalities have to be involved. Sometimes it's a county to kind of help offset some of those costs, and that's the politics side of it, if you will. And then we also have the regulatory, working with ADOT and permitting.
Sure.
Doing environmental impact studies on roadways and where we're going to be. So that's what draws that timeline out. So
right.
We can deliver these services to smaller communities because one of the things that we at Allo pride ourselves on is that our average customer has been with us 16 and a half years. The company's only been in business for 24.
So that's incredible, really. So that means most of the people who started with you stayed with you.
They do, and that's what we found. And
that's impressive.
If you give a great product with great service, and you back it with local talent and people that are really invested in the community and the company as well, it's a winning combination. And so that's really driven our growth over the years as we've expanded out of Nebraska into Colorado and Missouri now, and as well as here in Arizona. So I don't see that that's changing. It just is not happening as fast. And a lot of that has to do with liquidity in the markets and financing construction. It is expensive, and we've invested a very sizable sum here in Sierra Vista. But with the stuff that's coming, wow, what a time to be in Sierra Vista, not just for Allo, but as a resident, someone that calls this place home. You've got, Black Star Orbital, a re-entry.
A lot of opportunity coming.
A lot of opportunity
horizon.
on the horizon, put a potential Space Force attachment to Post. And, there's just a lot of really cool stuff that's happening, and we may even see tribute built in our lifetime. Which how exciting would that be? Because we do need homes. We need places for these families that we want to move into town.
We
to
love
live.
homes. Of course.
So do the city officials.
Yes.
But to be able to see that Allo is here for the long haul, that the company is
not too many homes at once. Let's not get carried away.
No, you got to have a
gem,
balance,
okay?
right? There's a balance between new construction and residential real estate that's turning over. But at the same time, we love to see some of that, not just because of the new home growth, but just because it keeps prices in a good place. Mm-hmm. You see us. We've still got room to grow, and we still have growth potential. Housing is still affordable here, and you see other places, big cities and whatnot, where there's much less opportunity for new building. They're starting to have to go outside of their perimeters and keep kind of encroaching on other areas because there's no more space. And when there's no more space, the prices just go up, right? And exponentially. We're fortunate. Not so fortunate for realtors in some ways because you got to sell a lot more houses. Yeah. But if you go to California, I met a guy just a little while back, and he said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I wouldn't sell more than 10 houses a year. That would be terrible. How many do you guys sell?" And then we told him, and he was like, "Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I couldn't even imagine." And so it's just different. We still like it, and we still get to talk to first home buyers. Mm-hmm. I just heard on the news it was $1 million in some places for a first home.
No, thank
you.
Who
can afford that? So I love that you're coming to those rural residents, and I love that we're attracting people like you guys.
And in that expansion, I don't know if you talk to, we've been talking about the Hereford area. What about the outer go in further south and further east, Bisbee,
are we
Benson.
talking Douglas, Wilcox?
We're talking Douglas,
Benson,
Wilcox. Is that something that Allo has already done in the other areas that they've gone into?
So, and it's a great point. I can't give specifics.
Sure. I'm not looking for specifics. I'm just looking for Hereford, but for the other people.
What I can say is that Cochise County is very important to Allo.
Okay.
And that is why, for lack of a better term, we've kind of planted our flag here in Sierra Vista.
Perfect.
This is the hub for our growth and expansion, whatever that's going to look like for the rest of Cochise County, to the north, to the east,
sure,
and to the south towards Bisbee, which happens to be our county seat. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on, in Tombstone and Benson. I get approached by council members and mayors that are very excited and want.
Sure, they're watching what's happening.
And because bringing fiber into a community, it's kind of the rising tide that floats all boats. It increases the property value because now you have a property that's much more attractive to somebody that works from home and needs a stable connection for Zoom calls, or maybe even a health provider clinic that does a lot of telehealth. They need that bandwidth to be able to deliver services to the residents, and that's what we do. So it's definitely on our radar. You got Hereford comes up in conversation,
of course,
just about every day
in leadership. In leadership, at least once a week. So. You have our attention, and we're here.
Good to know.
Well, that's good. I love that you guys are thinking about us. Don't forget about us.
We won't.
Well, and I love the fact that you got a 50-year plan, so that kind of speaks volumes to, hey, we're sticking around. We got plans here. I still wonder, though, right, being that you are a fiber business and everything, how does that look for the future? So I'm going to ask the hard questions. She's going to just love on you and everything. But I'm going to ask some hard questions here. How do you survive in that industry as technology expands and reach into the stars, and we've got satellite connectivity, and how's that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. And a lot of people don't even know what is fiber.
Sure.
I mean, fiber is really just
that's a good
it's
place to
light
go.
that is being passed along glass.
Okay.
And what is the capacity for fiber? It's literally what we're bringing into town right now. We could triple and quadruple that. So we have kind of future proof, and it's hardwired. And usually hardwire is always going to be a little faster and more stable than wireless. Satellite's great. Wireless is fantastic.
Dependability too, right?
But there's a reason that the United States military and post use fiber optics for connectivity and telecommunication. It is the most reliable. It is the fastest, and it does give us the ability to expand even more in the future. The other thing that Allo has that's very unique to any other telecommunications company in Sierra Vista is we have two routes out of Sierra Vista. We have one that goes up to the Phoenix area and another that goes over to Vegas. And those are backbones where all the information that's passed along the internet to get outside of Sierra Vista go. So if anything happens, we have what's called redundancy. So we have a failover, we have a backup, so that we aren't a single point of failure away from the town being down.
That's good information. You always think about those things in the back of your mind, but don't really know what the infrastructure looks like.
Well, and realistically, as far as the quality of fiber, somebody on the team very early on had said to me, what's faster than the speed of light? So you have like a whole bunch of other different ways of connecting to the internet, but with Allo being fiber and having it be a light signal, there's nothing faster. So at that point, it's going to be your best option in terms of connectivity.
Right. Yep. Well, it would have to be for you guys to invest so much into that backbone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then not just into the communities, but specifically what Frank and I do, just to pivot a little bit, is we're involved with the businesses that are here in Sierra Vista. We recognize that to have your internet go down when you have a line full of customers, standing there in your store, you have to survive somehow, know, and that's just not an option for it to go down. So to be able to have something that's faster, that's more reliable, and again, going back to the customer service point where we have individuals here who can actually come out to your place of business and help. Not that you put in a ticket and you wait 5 days, or anything like that, but there's actual boots on the ground here that are here to help. And, that's what Frank and I are passionate about, is helping the local businesses, because we recognize that as businesses here in Sierra Vista flourish, the community's going to flourish. The city's going to flourish. We're going to attract new families. We're going to attract building the community. And so that's something that we just kind of go after with gusto, is telling local businesses what we're about and why we're here. And again, we're not just another fly by the seat of your pants, company that's coming in, but we live here. We want to see the success happen.
Is that an advantage, I guess, to being who you are and how you do business? You mentioned, I think, Frank, sitting down with somebody at the office or sitting down at their office and being able to talk about their specific business needs. And then I'm assuming you construct something that would be beneficial to their operation?
Yeah, that's exactly what we do, and it's custom tailored, if you will, the solutions that we provide to businesses, because not every business is the same. And I work with different businesses that have nurses that are out in the field and need to be reached, and connected to the office for different ways. And Amanda and I and the rest of our team, we come up with those custom solutions, whether it's for security or cybersecurity, firewalls. Sure. Obviously, internet connectivity, telephones, it runs the whole gamut, as well as compliance. And, that's kind of our big growth area right now is, there's so much regulation that comes down.
A lot of compliance issues.
To be a small business anymore. And we try to help businesses navigate those and do so successfully.
With all the growth comes the construction.
Sure.
And so you've had the people here in the community, we've all heard them, I'm sure you've talked to them, that have just beaten you guys up about the construction part of it. I mean, really, they have, right?
True.
And we've done a good job of trying to reach out to those people all the time and let them know, hey, call us, talk to us. I want to go down the construction route and how you guys have been handling that.
That's a great area.
We actually, just last week, we walked into a place of business, just to say, hey, here we are. As soon as we walked in, the gal behind the counter went, oh,
no.
I know who you are. And it was like,
a great way to meet.
Yeah, it was like, oh, my stomach kind of dropped like a rock. But the amazing thing is that we were able to say yes, and we know how frustrating that is. Let us make sure that we can make it right. And that very same day, Frank reached out to the folks that are on our construction team here and said, hey, here's the address. Have we remedied this? Have we fixed this? What is this looking like? They were able to come back to us in less than 24 hours and say, here's what happened. Here's how we've made it right. Here's what we did. I'm going to call her and make sure that she knows. And so that was able to happen right away. Again, there wasn't a help ticket and it took 5 days,
right.
And so we do understand that there's growing pains that come with it.
Sure.
And I think the thing that I really appreciate about the company is that they don't offer excuses, they offer solutions.
Yeah.
Love it.
So it's not like you come in and you go, oh, I know who you are. You ruined my driveway.
Yeah,
and
you've ruined everyone's driveway for the record.
And it's not like Frank and I go, but there's no excuses. It's we agree with you.
You're
yes.
right.
Yes,
How can we fix it?
There are some things that happen and it's outside of our control, but what can we do to make it right?
Right.
We're going to leave things better than the way that we came upon them. And
Very true.
That is something that we ask people to reach out to us and talk to us about instead of just the quiet grumbling. We want to know what can we do to make it better, to fix it.
I know that we just hit the tip of the iceberg on that one, but I got to take a break. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the Sherry Ethell Team at Long Realty Studios. Keeping it real. We'll be right back, folks, with Allo Fiber.
In a town with heart and history, the Sherry Ethell Team is the key. Serving Sierra Vista, we agree. For military law and retirees, stress-free process you will see. Personal care is our guarantee. Real integrity, real results. The Sherry Ethell Team, we never halt. Real experts here to guide your way, making dreams come true every single day. Trusted team that knows just what to do. The Sherry Ethell Team, working for you. Real integrity, real results. The Sherry Ethell Team is your one and only call.
All right, welcome back to Keepin' It Real, brought to you by Sherry Ethell and the team right here at Long Realty Studios. And we're talking with Allo Fiber, two business account executives, Amanda and Frank Harris. Yes, they are married. They are a powerhouse couple with Allo Fiber. And we're talking about your business and spotlighting a little bit about what you're doing in our community. And, of course, we've got the wonderful Lisa Gustafson from CoolFM with us here. I got to ask a question. Before the break, we were talking about all this construction. I think, Amanda, you were talking about, how you guys solve problems and everything. One of the things I kind of want to start off caveat, though, is a lot of people misinterpret the ownership of their land, right? So there is what's called a utility easement, right? And you guys, I'm sure, are very familiar with that. You don't really have that little space that's in the front of the house. Can you describe any of that?
Every property has a utility easement where, anybody that's bringing infrastructure, whether it's gas, electric, water, internet, has to have access to be able to repair, maintain, and
that's
deliver.
where the backbone goes to everything.
It's where the backbone goes. And so while, yes, we want to inform homeowners and educate them on what that easement is and why we're there, sometimes we do get people that say, no, this is my property and get off my lawn. And we understand that.
Yeah.
And it's our job to make sure that we educate people. And if they have any questions, they can call the city, they can call the county recorder's office, and they'll get the information. Yeah.
Amanda, how do you guys keep that diplomatic?
I think probably the best way is to understand the concerns. As homeowners ourselves, right now we have flags and spray painted rocks and the whole 9 yards and the road work ahead sign literally at the end of our driveway, and so we understand, and again, I think it's just a matter of maintaining a spirit of humility and of compassion and just understanding, there are some of those frustrating things that are bound to happen. Again, not that it's the cost of technology, but it sort of is the cost of advancement, when we have roads that need to be repaved. The headache that was the crossroads of 90 and 92, when that was like
the
getting...
big stuff's harder.
Yeah, when you were getting like the teeth rattled out of your head, trying to make it to the grocery store,
Many of suspensions.
Yeah, and how frustrating that was. But then it became frustrating when the construction came in and they were trying to redo it. But now nobody even thinks about it,
right.
And so when you have something that ends up getting repaired or fixed or improved, there's going to be a little bit of those growing pains. And again, as a company, I think we acknowledge that. Frank and we acknowledge that as being the business account executives and being able to go in and talk to business owners. I had someone that I spoke with this week that said, yeah, you're going to just burst the water lines in our parking lot. And I said, well, first of all, we call those splash pads. They're not.
Right.
No. But I was able to reassure him and just say, yes. And we know that that's frustrating. And we anticipate those. That's why we come out and we do a site survey before anything happens in terms of construction. To make sure that things are where they are supposed to be, to let folks know if we are anticipating any kind of troubles, and we don't want to overpromise and then underdeliver. We want it to be, we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And so again, just that heart of compassion and saying, we know that this is frustrating. In the long run, it's like labor pains. In the long run, there's going to be joy at the end of it. There's going to be something good that comes about from all of this.
I appreciate you guys and your staff, the guys that are out there actually doing the work. And I'll be the cheerleader here a little bit, take your place here, Lisa.
Thanks.
But I do appreciate that. Like I can think of one house, a day of pictures, right? Day of pictures. I go out there. I've only seen it, I saw it 2 days ago and it looked great. We had it all ready to go. And then I come through, and like you said, they got the little feather thing sticking up, the little plastic things, and all the spray paint. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's so frustrating.
That doesn't sound like a cheerleader.
but they were super respectful about it. They even helped me move their cones and stuff out of the way so we could take some pictures.
That's good.
We did have to make a couple adjustments there from some different angles and everything, just so we didn't have as much of that in there. But they were super respectful, and I appreciate that. So the fact that you come in, you got to do your work, you kind of maybe mess things up a little bit, but you do repair it going out, right?
Absolutely, we do.
So what are some of the challenges of all that? What are some of the things that you run into?
Honestly, the biggest challenges and I think misconceptions are that, if something breaks, it's Allo's fault. And we don't want to pass the buck. We want to, because if I'm standing in front of a homeowner or a construction crew I don't want to say that Blue Stake was off by 6 feet And we were just following what the utilities were marked at, and because they don't care. In that moment, the only thing they care about is there's a problem.
My water line's broke.
And yes, absolutely. So
I need water.
That's a very frustrating thing, and you have to, as Amanda said, we want to be empathetic, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's that there is a problem. How do we correct this and try to make things as good as we possibly can in the moment?
Well, there's real people behind each one of those experiences, right? So it's kind of a struggle. And you guys, you hear it all. We just hear what we're frustrated with, that one property, that one thing that just didn't go right. It happens.
It does.
Stuff happens.
And, one of the things that I've had to adjust to in being in Sierra Vista, and I love this town, is just how quickly perception becomes fact in this town. There is a network of gossip, if you will, and it's and bless them, because everybody's so invested and connected in this town that things that when something happens, everybody knows. And as a company, that's a big spotlight to have on you. Every interaction with the public is magnified here in Sierra Vista. You can't hide. Amanda and I, when something goes wrong, or if a customer had a not pleasant experience with Allo or a competitor, they're going to talk to me. I can't go hide. I don't go run up to Tucson or Phoenix and only come here when I want to, try to make money.
Yeah.
I have to see these people in the grocery store, in the community, at events, and I want that experience to be positive. So,
well, that transparency will go a long way.
I think it does, and that's really what I think people want: accountability.
Sure.
And when we make a mistake, we got to own it. And like I say, we clean up our messes. I can't speak for every member of our team. I'm sure some of them have had bad days, but universally we try very hard to make sure that every interaction with us, from the beginning to the end of our construction, as well as getting customers connected, is positive.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating when it's now tearing up my yard, and I just paid a lot of money to get my landscaping done.
But I think that Amanda had touched on that earlier too. And I've heard this said many times. Of course, there's going to be those times where you have to dig and do certain things.
Yeah.
But their goal is to leave it in, the same or better condition of when they got there.
Yeah.
So just give a little bit of leeway, give them a little bit of time. And I think that...
How big of an impact is there to a property on average? I mean, are we talking digging up concrete?
Question.
Are you just dirt?
No, I mean, usually on average, the biggest complaint is usually from when we have to blue stake, where those spray paint markers are marking the utility lines, and your rock in your
Looks
yard
ugly,
we got to plant. Yeah, it's not.
Or we're trying to take pictures.
On picture day.
We, depending for our major arterial, fiber connections, where that's a little more disruptive than in a typical neighborhood.
Yeah.
But usually we bore, so it's underground drilling. So there's some noise, and there's traffic. There's some silt and mud that comes with that, and we clean that up. But sometimes a driveway might be blocked for a little while because our trucks need to be in that exact spot. And so those are generally the biggest things. It's not that we have to unearth somebody's yard or dig up a flower bed, but we have run into issues where there's trees that are in a path that
Ooh, how do you get around
systems. I leave that to our construction people. I am not that.
Good answer.
Bless them, because they're out in the heat dealing with this stuff on a day-to-day basis. I get to sit in an air-conditioned office. So
they are a pretty incredible team, though.
If you ever want to, go ask one of our construction people what they're doing, and sit down and sit back, they'll tell you and give you more information than you could ever want to know.
It's kind of interesting. I always get interested when they're boring stuff out and they're pushing line and everything else too, because it's kind of fascinating to me how far they can go and how that all works, because it's something I don't do.
Really?
And so it's outside of my expertise, and so it's kind of interesting to see.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but think of it like somebody, and I think it was one of the construction managers you had, said, think of it when you have the ants that dig in down underneath, right? And they just tunnel and tunnel and tunnel forever. Yeah. You would be amazed. You should go down sometime and see how they actually do it. It is incredibly impressive.
But at the end of the day, the end result, once the construction's done, that's when we all take a nice sigh of relief.
Yeah, there's an end to it. just before we go, are you envisioning conquering all of Sierra Vista before you move on to other places? Or are you already moving or have plans to maybe move? Maybe you don't have exact dates or whatever. Are you going to finish what you started here, or kind of is it going to be dual rolled? Are you going to maybe start rolling out some stuff other places?
And that
or is that too secret to know?
Well, that remains to be seen. I can tell you, I mean, our commitment is to finishing Sierra Vista first. Daily discussions on what's next. We are expanding our footprint. Even as we speak, we added a new construction out to the airport.
Yeah, big news.
So that the services that are needed out there for all the business that's coming, and some of the great stuff that Tony Boone, with the Director of Economic Development, is doing, along with the city manager and leadership. So our construction plans are always kind of changing and evolving, but the set in stone is to finish Sierra Vista first. But we will have a plan going forward before that's done. So hopefully in the next 6 months or so, there'll be some more announcements, and the public will be informed about that as it becomes available.
One last question for you, Frank, and I'm going to put this to you rather than Amanda. I just want to ask you, from your perspective, do we expect to see more people working for Allo, the same amount of people over time? I don't know what that looks like when you finish.
And it's a great question. I get asked that. There's city leaders that ask that same question, and that want to know what jobs are going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now. And our construction piece will change. That will dwindle. We won't need as many people in the field doing active construction, say, in Sierra Vista.
Right. They might be somewhere else, in Wilcox or Benson or somewhere else.
But our storefront, our customer support, everything that goes to maintaining a world-class network, we still have to have staffing here for that. And there's some cool, exciting networking stuff that we're looking at here for Sierra Vista to keep some of the amazing talent that we have up on post and coming out of Cochise College for cybersecurity and our network operations. So, I would say I think that you're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years, our staffing will actually expand here in Sierra Vista versus shrink. Yeah. Where there's some really cool stuff that's just around the corner, and I hate to tease.
I know he does this to me. We do this on our updates all the time on CoolFM, all the time. It's coming, and here's the great thing. I do know that when he gets word, he calls me and he said, "This is what we could talk about. This is what we can do," and we do it, and we do a great job of it. And I know when that expansion, I'm not even going to say the word that begins with H anymore because I know you might not come back. But will you keep us posted, and will you keep us up to date, and maybe even come back on the show as well and do another spot, because it's great information. We'd
absolutely love to, and keeping the public informed of what we're doing and when we're doing it. That's kind of my job. So, we are so excited about the things. I mean, that's the reason that we're here. Southeast Arizona, Cochise County, Sierra Vista. Yeah, they didn't just spin the bottle and put a pin in the map. There's a reason. There is a reason for that. Yes. Hey, so I appreciate you guys being on the show, Amanda, Frank. We really appreciate Allo Fiber stepping in here and talking to us a little bit about the community, a little bit about your involvement and all the construction processes, and so much about fiber. I feel like we only got the tip of the iceberg, but we've learned a lot more. So I appreciate you both coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. We're happy to be here.
Having you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope you'll come back and give us more updates, especially when you get to Hereford. But we'd love to hear that. I'll make sure that happens. Please do. We'd love to hear that. Lisa, thank you for your involvement and help in asking some good questions. I always love being here. So, again, this is Keepin' It Real, brought to you by Sherry Ethell and the team right here at Long Realty Studios. Another week wraps up with Allo Fiber, and we appreciate your time. Hope everybody stays safe out there and stays hydrated. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
That brings us to the end of another Keepin' It Real radio show, and we just want to say a big thank you for letting us be a small part of your weekend. Whether you're a longtime listener or just caught us for the first time today, we're so glad you're here. Got something you'd love us to talk about? Maybe a local story, a cool event, maybe a guest idea. Maybe you're related to or know someone who has an interesting story, profession, or past. We would love to hear from you, so drop it in our Keepin' It Real suggestion box at Long Realty. We're located just behind Denny's on Fry Boulevard. Or if it's easier, you can email me directly at sherry@sherryetthelteam.com or call me or text me at 717-599-2439. This is your show, and it's all about our community, our connections, and the what's up of Cochise County County, and as always, keeping things real. And your voice will help shape what we do next. We'll see you next Saturday from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 104.1 Cool FM, making radio cool again.
What's in a name? Everything. Long Realty has been a cornerstone of Southern Arizona's real estate market for nearly 100 years. Our name is our bond, and our agents are our strength. Trust in the name that stands for experience and expertise. Visit longrealty.com or call 520-459-4993 to connect with an agent today. Long Realty. Smart move.
Join us next Saturday for more engaging interviews with top realtors and industry leaders, keeping you informed about the latest trends in real estate. Stay connected with us as we bring you updates on the dynamic events shaping our vibrant community. From exciting local happenings to noteworthy charities and causes, we've got you covered. See you next week for another edition of Keepin' It Real.